What were the main restrictions of Ihram? Should not do's basically while you're in the state of Ihram?
There are some mahzurat or restrictions which are shared between men and women, such as number one, of course, having a sexual intercourse, or al-mubashara. And I began by having a sexual intercourse because this is an act which, if they happen to do, the Hajj is void. There is nothing can make it up. Not only that, there is a huge penalty, which is slaughtering a badana or a camel. This is the fidya. And also, they have to go on the completion of their Hajj, even though it's void. Third, they have to come next year to make up this void Hajj, if they have the means. Even if it was a voluntary Hajj, now it has become mandatory to make it up since they void it willingly. So this is the biggest and the first restriction which everybody should keep in mind, especially those who are traveling along with their spouses. Then there are some restrictions shared as well, such as clipping the nails, shaving or removing any hair from the entire body. Let it be the head, the eyebrows, the mustache, the beard. Any hair is restricted to remove anything from the body while in a state of Ihram. Men are not allowed to cover their heads, while women are not allowed to cover their faces and hands. The Ihram of a woman is by wearing her regular everyday clothes, but uncovering the face and the hands. And that takes us to another very interesting thing, which is if a woman should uncover the hands and the face during Ihram, that means she's supposed to be normally covered outside the state of Ihram. And that's why we would recommend and ask the sisters, while uncovering the face in Ihram, if they happen to pass by men who are not mahram, or men passing by them, to lower their isdal to cover their face if they were normally wearing the niqab or covering their face. Men are not allowed to wear any stitched clothes. All their outfit should be seamless. And this is what we see, the izar, a towel to be wrapped around the waist, and a rida, which is another towel to be placed on both shoulders. It feels funny in the beginning that you're not wearing anything beneath that. There is no underwear whatsoever. But that takes you back to the same day you were born, and it takes you future to the process of wrapping the body with the shroud and preparing the deceased to be buried. Very, very simple form of outfit that would not recognize rich from poor.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we've got one question before we go to the break, and it's actually connected to this. I mean, the penalties of violating these restrictions. I mean, I know there's different types of penalties, but could you just give a brief introduction to them?
Well, for violating any of the restrictions of Ihram or doing them, we have to differentiate between several cases. The first case, if somebody does that unknowingly or not deliberately, that somebody was sitting and all of a sudden he forgot that he's in a state of Ihram, so he dressed up and he wore his outer garment and he put the kufi or the cap or the head cover and wear his socks and so on. So somebody said, brother, you're in Ihram, have you forgotten? So right away, the ransom for that is to take that off and to ask Allah for forgiveness. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive us in any case that we forget. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Similarly, if a person does that unknowingly, he doesn't know that was one of the restrictions of Ihram. He's playing with his beard and he took off some hair. Somebody reminded him this is haram. So he was reminded and he sought forgiveness. This is a penalty or the ransom for it. There is no tangible or financial penalty in that regard. The other case is if a person have to, due to a valid reason, he knows that it is restricted to shave or trim or to clip the nails, but he broke one of the nails and he has to remove it. It's painful, it's hurting. Or like in another incident, one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ had lice in his head. So when the Prophet ﷺ saw him in that shape, he said, I didn't know that it was hurting you that much. Go ahead and shave and give the fidyah. The fidyah, as the Quran stated, فَفِدْيَةٌ مِّن صِيَامٍ أَوْ صَدَقَةٍ أَوْ نُسُكٍ. As-siyam, for fasting for 3 days. Or al-it'am, feeding 6 poor people, 6 masakeen. أو نسك, slaughtering a sheep and distributing its meat among the poor at the same place where you made a violation. Let's say that I have to shave, and that happened in Mina or happened in Mecca. In this case, I may do that and give the fidya if I chose to slaughter. But a person would have the choice between the three choices, either fasting for 3 days, feeding 6 masakin, or slaughtering a sheep.
Jazakallah khair.